Bonjour everyone. Today I'm taking you in nature with me to talk about this beautiful full moon in Capricorn. Here I am, Françoise Alouin Monroe, your astrologer, your guiding star. This full moon in Capricorn takes place on the 11th of July 2025 at 6:37 a.m. Brisbane time, Australia. So the moon faces the sun, illuminating the 18 degree, 11 minutes, rounded to 19 degree of Capricorn. Capricorn is a cardinal earth sign. It represents your inner authority. It is where your life choices, your goals, your ambitions are established. In fact, a full moon in Capricorn is like a suspended moment at the top of an inner mountain. We are on the mountain here, from where you can objectively evaluate your surrounding and from there make decisions with more lucidity, more clarity. It offers you a much broader vision of the future. So during the timeline of this full moon, it is not just about observing, but about consciously choosing what you keep, what you transform, what you abandon, because a full moon brings a revelation, an illumination. What you did not see or what you did not want to see manifests itself. What is not working, what you no longer want, or on the contrary, what must be fully embraced, things are much clearer at this time. Perhaps you will realize that a goal set at the beginning of the year no longer has the same importance. Perhaps a project is nearing completion or needs a turning point. Opposite the moon, the sun in Cancer draws your attention to your inner world. He connects you to your emotional energy, your roots, your home, your family, your security needs. Ultimately, the Cancer-Capricorn axis brings you these questions. Is my energy balanced? Am I still taking the time to relax, to find myself? Am I giving too much? Am I investing myself to the point of forgetting myself? Am I living in service of my obligations, my commitments, what others expect of me, to the detriment of what I truly feel, of what I need to regenerate myself? This full moon is a time to listen to what within you requires adjustment. She invites you to return to balance between what you give to the world and what you give to yourself. The full moon highlights the place where everything has become too heavy, too rigid, and pushes you to find new solutions, to invent a fairer way of living with your responsibilities. So this full moon is an annual meeting which marks a summit, an apogee, an emotional culmination, and it is very often a moment of inner truth, a brutal clarity sometimes, but in any case necessary for something to transform. And it is true that for something to transform, you must first face it. In this Cancer-Capricorn axis, Cancer is oriented toward gentleness, intimacy, vulnerability, and Capricorn will speak to you of mastery, solidity, concrete results. And so this annual meeting confronts you with your balance between the private and the public, between soul and matter. And at this full moon, there is an element that reinforces this dynamic. It is Jupiter, which is also in Cancer. Jupiter is exalted in this sign, so he is very active. Jupiter supports the sun, amplifying themes of protection, family, and human warmth. As well, Jupiter opens us perspective of hope, generosity, comfort. He makes awareness broader and feelings more intense. This full moon does not arrive alone on her own. She arrives in a planetary context that is very powerful, very rare. We are at a visionary turning point, one that is in the making. It is a time of transition, which has been anticipated for several months. So look at where this moon at 19 degrees of Capricorn is located in your natal chart. In which house and which planets or points are in aspect or conversation with her. That is where and how this full moon impacts you. And it is important to know this, because in January 2020 there was a conjunction of Pluto and Saturn at 22 degrees of Capricorn, therefore conjuncts the degree of this full moon. And that was a moment that marked the beginning of a global shift. Remember COVID? So this full moon activates this degree. It revives this memory. It invites you to look at what has changed in you since that moment. What have you learned? What is your vision today of authority, structure, power? Capricorn is about your relationship to sovereignty. That is, what power do you give to the outside world, or to someone, or to something? Ask yourself, who and what is ruling my life? Do I rule my life? It is time to reclaim your inner sovereignty. We must not forget that we have been conditioned for eons, generations, to delegate our power to a government, to an institution, to an ideology, to a system, to the media, and we still give a lot of power to the outside world. But this full moon comes to reactivate another direction of inner authority, of alignment with what you know deep down is right for yourself. The full moon in Capricorn makes a magnificent trine aspect with the south node of the moon in Virgo, and therefore a sextile with the north node of the moon in Pisces. With Virgo's energy, the focus is on the details to be reviewed, the adjustments and the corrections to be made. This requires gradual clarification. What still merits my commitment? What in my daily life can be simplified, lightened, update? Excuse me. It is a big time for declutter your life. And this impulse to readjust is also intensified with the passage of Mars in Virgo from June 18 to August 7. Mars in Virgo gives you the impetus to act in a useful, precise way. It helps you correct, improve, to heal, to do things methodically with determination. Mars in Virgo helps you sort things out to regain clarity. It is also a mental acceleration, a need to understand, to analyze, to rationalize. And on the dark side, you may experience irritability, nervous tension, fatigue, headaches, if you let yourself be carried away by perfectionism or by workaholism. So there is a balance to be found here, and Mars in Virgo is a valuable ally to find direction, to give meaning, to be more in tune with your body, your emotions, your intuition. So everything you feel is too much or useless or exhausting. You will be able to let them go, closed, redirect, change. Mars in Virgo invites you to change your method, change ways of doing things that no longer works with who you are. This may concern professional choices, lifestyle rhythm, relationship dynamics, a way of thinking, a diet. During this timeline, you will really feel what nourishes you and what no longer nourishes you. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, so he is the ruler of this full moon, and is in a very rare conjunction with Neptune at 1-2 degrees of Aries. Saturn is currently stationary, ready to retrograde on the 13th of July until November, and Neptune has just retrograde on the 4th of July until early December. So together they go into retrograde mode almost at the same time. Saturn is the architect of reality. He wants to structure, build, and make things concrete. He acts over time. He demands effort and endurance. And in Aries, he becomes proactive, pushing you to act, to decide, to assert a direction. Saturn is retrograde, and this step backward forces you to re-evaluate your inner foundations. So what have you built? What is solid and what is not in your life? Is it aligned with what you have become? This retrograde phase is an invitation to refocus, to take responsibility, to make mature choices, and to abandon forms that no longer suit you, that no longer support your vital impulse. Neptune, on her side, is aspiration. She inspires, she dilutes, she elevates, but she can also drown you in ambiguity, expectation, illusion, invisibility, addiction, depression. And in Aries, she begins to emerge from the fog. She seeks ideals, mystical impulses, which take shape in action. Neptune retrograde is a reminder of the mystery to look within yourself so that illusions may fall away. Neptune dissolves, and she questions you. Did you really believe this dream was made for you? And if that is not the case, well, perhaps it is time to face things squarely, to confront the void and to let a new dream emerge. This Saturn-Neptune conjunction sitting on 1-2 degree of Aries is a very powerful astrological moment, both on a personal and global level. This conjunction inspires you to give substance to the invisible, to embody a dream, and this alchemy between the tangible and the invisible takes place in Aries, a sign of initial impetus, of budding identity. It is time of renewal indeed, to reclaim your power, to rediscover your inner strength, but in a slow, gradual and sacred way. So it is no time to run yet. It is time to feel within yourself a push to be born, to be new with more sincerity, more maturity and more clarity. And surely you will have doubts, questions. Am I on the right track? Does this project or this dream still make sense? Do I let him, her go or not? And you won't necessarily have the answer right away, but the important thing is to listen to yourself, to let the silence to take hold inside, to make room for the unknown, for the new. You just have to let it emerge. And if you accept this pause, this silence, if you honor this time of deceleration, you can then assess or see revealed a new version of yourself, which is much less in illusion and much more truly connected to who you are. This Saturn-Neptune conjunction will really help you rediscover the very essence of what calls you, what is essential to you. It is a great portal we all go through in 2025. In the chart of this full moon, we see Uranus, which has just crossed the threshold, sitting at 0 degree 9 minutes of Gemini. This is his first incursion in Gemini from the 7th of July until the 9th of November, when he will return to Taurus. Finally, he will return to Gemini next year on April, and will remain there until August 2032. Uranus is a planet of awakening, of sudden change, of surprises, and here he opens a new 7 years cycle in our way of thinking, of communicating, of connecting with others. It is a cognitive revolution of reinventation of ways of communicating. Uranus was very slow in the sign of Taurus, and here in Gemini, a sign of air and movement, he triggers a rise in frequency, a much busy, more nervous and more mental energy. And you and I, we can feel that everything is accelerating, don't we? Ideas, projects are springing forth, emerging with incredible speed. So be careful not to lose track, because your mind is filled with impressive intuition, but also with interference, overload, and difficulty finding rest. So pay attention to your sleep. Inner turmoil is becoming palpable. The collective electromagnetic fields seems to vibrate completely different with Uranus in Gemini. Uranus electrifies your way of communicating, thinking, and learning. He instills a strong burning curiosity, a desire to break out of fixed mental patterns, to think outside of the box. Impressive and surprising realization will emerge in the areas of communication, learning, networking, and travel. Uranus in Gemini is a timeline, very fertile for inventions, original approaches, new perspectives. What you thought was fixed can chatter to make way for a fresh perspective. And what is more, Uranus has just left an exact conjunction with Venus at 29 degrees of Taurus. So Venus, which is now at 7 degrees of Gemini, is filled with Uranian energy. So she feels light. She is open to play, to relational experimentation, and you become more sociable, more curious, more talkative, more open to new forms of contact. This will allow a breath of fresh air in your emotional and social life. You may feel unexpected attractions, new affinities, which may become obvious. It is time to break with old attitudes. With Uranus in Gemini, the time has come to think differently, and this is just the beginning. It will take on more and more importance in our way of thinking and seeing the world. So there is something in you which aspires to be more authentic, more fresh, more true, even if it means disturbing, because remember, with Uranus, we dare to disturb. Something else remarkable is what we are currently in a retrograde period. We have Pluto and Neptune already retrograde, Saturn retrograde on the 13th of July, Mercury retrograde on the 18th of July, and Chiron retrograde at the end of July. So the whole sky seems to be slowing down, inviting us to a necessary refocusing. It is a timeline of recalibration. Something is ending, directions are losing meaning, and others are suddenly imposing themselves. They are still informal, but in any case, very powerful. It is a moment of change. You feel that certain aspect of your daily life no longer resonates as before, because your reason for being has changed. What was motivating yesterday becomes restrictive today. What seemed marginal is now essential. Something is reorganizing itself within you to align you with another version of yourself. Daily life, habits, choices are evolving to adjust to this new reality which is emerging. A beautiful configuration is taking shape in the sky between Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries, which gently converse in two sextiles, with Uranus in Gemini on one side and Pluto in Aquarius on the other side, creating a a minor trine between these air and fire signs. This brings an excitement that is very palpable. There is something new in the air, a new vibration, a call for momentum, for boldness, for creative transformation. Uranus and Pluto are two masters of upheaval, collaborating here in a trine that is a very constructive dialogue. And this is the first time we are going to experience this in such a powerful way. Uranus in Gemini accelerates ideas, connections, and brilliant intuitions. And Pluto in Aquarius will dig invisible foundations concerning the collective consciousness, which is transforming. And the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries is fueling this process. So this beautiful configuration creates a shifting effect between two timelines, as if we were still walking in the footsteps of what is fading while sensing the reality to come. We feel the future getting closer. We don't know yet what it will look like, but something in you is already adjusting to its frequency. It is therefore a silent, powerful reset which is deeply felt and which can be a little disconcerting, because in fact you don't control this passage. There is something that is underway that you must accompany, that you must also become aware of. Ultimately, the only real choice offered to you is to go there with honesty, adjusting what can be adjusted in your life, of course, and that brings you closest to what truly makes you alive. This full moon in Capricorn acts like a magnifying glass, focused on the essential. She illuminates your sense of responsibility, your ability to keep your commitments, to honor what needs to be honored. The message here is not to abandon everything to follow a dream, but to reconcile vision and discipline. This is a full moon of great inner alignment, but also of very concrete realities to face. It is a time to make room in your life to welcome what is next, and therefore to complete what needs to be completed and to take care of current commitments. In conclusion, this full moon in Capricorn invites you to return to the top of the mountain. We are here at the top of the mountain, and to take a circular look at what you have been through and what lies ahead. So on one side, you see the old roads, the one you have taken, the ones that shaped you, sometimes hurt you, of course, but which allowed you to understand who you are. And on the other side of the mountain, you see reality in gestation, a life that is taking shape in the invisible. It is a new timeline whose contours you are beginning to perceive without yet being able to name them. And it is precisely between these two sides, at the heart of this passage, a little uncertain for sure, that lies the strength of this full moon in Capricorn. She illuminates the choices that are up to you to make from an inner compass. She asks you to feel what you are ready to finish, to be able to welcome the new. What calls for your presence, your attention, your immediate responsibility. In fact, change won't happen without you. It will happen through you, and as you act in this present reality, the future draws closer. It synchronizes with your choices, your thoughts, and your sincerity. When we look at our world, which is still burning fiercely with wars, extreme conditions, there are social, political, economic, ecological problems. All of this is terrible for sure. But the important thing is to constantly remember that world peace begins with a peaceful inner center. That collective love is born from the awareness of our individual frequency, because our external reality is only a reflection of our inner state. So the more you rediscover a state of bliss, calm and deep love, even for a few minutes, the more you contribute to calming this extreme external condition. So stand out from this tense world by emitting a soothing frequency. It allows you to activate a silent healing. It is the greatest contribution you and we can make, and do it especially for those who are not in position to cultivate peace. You are then more responsible than others by holding the frequency of love for those who cannot. It is our energetic duty to anchor this frequency of love in the collective field. So this full moon in Capricorn asks you to stop visualizing problems and start visualizing solutions. It invites you to take some time to create an intention of love for yourself, for others, and for the world. In fact, the new world is not something external. It is not a place we must wait for. It is what we become. You and we are the frequency which will create this new world. We are the light workers. We are the builders, the creators of this new world. So tell yourself, I am peace, I am joy, I am light, I am love. And I say to you, see you soon for another stroll in nature among the stars. Blessed be all, with love for sure.